Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the live training for today. It looks a little laggy, but maybe we're good. We'll have to see how this goes today. But welcome. I've got a powerful training for you guys today. I'm really looking forward to um, creating this space with you because this topic has been showing up everywhere in terms of the conversations I've been having lately, and so important. It's such an important place in terms of what we're creating in our life. You know, yeah, just what we're creating in life and who we get to be with in connection. I'm noticing that the feed is a little slow, so that is concerning. um, but we'll kind of see how it goes. If you notice that that it's slow or the audio's not connecting, maybe we'll have to try this another way. But we're going to be having a conversation today about creating powerful relationships. As I mentioned, this has been a topic that has been showing up everywhere in terms of conversations with clients, conversations with past clients, and also in my own life, my own way that I'm building relationships. So I wanted to bring this to you as well because I think that there are some things being missed as we look to create relationship with others. And I want to, talk about it a little bit. So um, if you're here, feel free to add any questions, any comments along the way. And just put your name in the chat as well when you are commenting so I actually know who you are, because sometimes the actual stream doesn't show me your name. So, and if you're catching this on the replay and you don't want to watch the whole video, but you like what I'm up to, I'm going to put a link in the chat afterwards talking about a program called The Masculine Leader, which is a group coaching experience that I've created for men that are supporting men who consider themselves nice guys to be a more authentic, confident leader in their relationship, which is ultimately going to have an impact throughout their life in many different areas. And the program is built to help you create more joy, purpose, impact, and adventure in your life. So if this is something that you're interested in, uh, feel free to take a look at the links that I provide afterwards and get in conversation with me, because it's going to be a awesome program that's being launched very soon. And with that, let's start diving into this. So I kind of had a lot of preamble there in setting up this conversation. So, I'm going to dive right in. So, as I mentioned, there are just some things that I'm noticing in this conversation around creating powerful relationships that's showing up everywhere. And the first I'm just going to dive right into the points. The first place that I really um, just want to provide support to you is really looking at, first of all, being the leader of your family, being the leader of your career, being the leader of your friendships. That truly, as we step into this place of creating powerful relationships, it's going to require you to step into your leadership. So allow that just to settle in. Allow that just to sit with you as you reflect on this, because this is going to kind of connect to my second point, that oftentimes we're kind of at effect of the relationships that we have. We think that our relationships can only go a certain way, or there are others in our household that have an impact on this. And yeah, to a degree they do. I'm not going to say that they don't, but really understanding that the stance that we need to hold is that we are a leader of our domain. We are a leader of the spaces that we're in. And if we can adapt this mentality that we are the leader, then it starts to become a conversation around where where do we actually need to have awareness of the dynamics that are going on in our space. So where do we need to have an awareness of the dynamics in our relationship? Where do we need to have a dynamic of the relationship with our kids, with our other family members, with our boss or our coworkers? When we can start to understand that we are a leader in all of these spaces, it really gives us the opportunity to be at cause, to be the creator of this space that we are in. So this is a really important thing just to be with, is that if we can accept that we are the leaders of the space, then we get to be the creator of the space. And so, for example, I'll give you an example just to kind of tie this in. um, I have conversations with men all the time about the state of their relationship, the state of their marriage. And of course, there is going to be a dynamic in the relationship where the man feels that, you know, that his partner has had an impact. Maybe, you know, maybe there's been hurt and pain that's been created over the years. Maybe there's been a lack of intimacy. The list could go on, right? And so the easy thing is to start to point the finger at the person across from us. Yet, if we come from this place of creating the stance of a leader, then we start to look at, well, where can we be the creator of the space? Where can I start to take ownership of what I've done or what I haven't done in the relationship and start to create a new way of moving into the future? If the relationship is still in peril, maybe that means that the relationship ends. Maybe it means that the relationship continues, but really getting in alignment with the fact that as a leader, we create the decisions. We create the dynamic of where the relationship goes. Let me know if you have any questions on that. I feel like I explained that pretty well for the most part, but it gives us sort of this base. Now, where we actually want to start to then look at is this aspect of responsibility versus victim. So it kind of ties into where we've been speaking, but truly owning that if I want to be somebody that creates powerful relationships, I have to be responsible for what is being created. So, what's the example that I have here? Well, yeah, here's the example that I have. So, again, it kind of ties into this previous point, but like, let's say, for example, we have a family member and we feel like we're showing up powerfully in the space. We're doing all the things that are necessary, and we kind of look at like it's on their side to fix things. It's on them to sort of change how they're showing up. And again, not going to argue that there probably is an element of that is in this space. But if we start to look at this concept of responsibility, where can we be responsible for how we're showing up in the space, right? And this can mean kind of two things. So one, how can we be responsible for our actions? How can we be responsible for just the dynamic that we're creating in the space? But here's the catch: how can we also be responsible for what we expect, for the boundaries that we have in the space, for many things? Pretty vague, but really just really connecting to this other side of responsibility. Yes, we have to be responsible for our actions, but we also have to be responsible for the space that's being created and what we allow. So allow that to just sit with yourself for a second, because I'm sort of really focusing on the responsibility aspect of it. But the place that we often get caught is where we play the victim, where we put it back on that person to improve, that person to change. And again, there's going to be times where it absolutely, yes, that's needed. But if our default is sort of this righteousness of like, it's on their side, it's on them to improve, well, there's no opportunity for growth in this space, because again, we'll come back to this place. You are the leader. You are the leader of the space. And so without your leadership, how can how can you expect people to just magically change? So yeah, let me know what you think of that. What questions come up for you, as we're in this discussion? What curiosities do you have for yourself? Where can you look in your own relationships? Um, this moves me into my next point, which is looking at getting to the heart. What do you want, and what will you claim in your relationships? So again, these points all kind of tie together, right? But like, oftentimes when we have an experience of wanting to deepen relationship, we kind of leave things at effect. We sort of allow like, okay, the world will magically deliver this to me. I just sort of need to be a vessel of this. Well, sure, there's definitely an energy of that, but there's also a place again of like going for what you want. going after what you want in your life and really being the leader. So a simple example for this is like, let's say you're wanting, there's some new people in your life that you want to be in friendship with. The default would probably be like, hey, I would really like to connect with this person. Maybe one day I'll ask them for their phone number, or maybe I'll add them on social media and we'll connect that way. Notice the vagueness in that, right? Yeah, okay, it's a step in the direction of creating connection, but we are adults, we are human beings. As human beings, we crave connection. And really, again, as we step into our leadership, going after what we want. So, how can you step into creating those connections? Does that mean you ask that person for their phone number, or you take the first step in inviting them out for coffee, or as we look at our relationships, our intimate relationships, does that mean being clear with your spouse or being clear with your partner in terms of the intimacy needs that you have, or the things that you really desire in your relationship, versus hoping and praying that someday it'll work? The likelihood is that it won't. The predictability is that things will continue exactly as they are. So, as the leader, you have to be at cause here. You have to really step into that desire and go after what you want. Let me know if you have any questions on that as well. And again, if you're here, please feel free to jump in on the conversation. Let me know what you're noticing for yourself. Um, Next point, beautiful place to look. And I labeled this one standing for clarity versus incompletion. So think of your relationships, whether they're intimate, personal friendships, with coworkers. Think of all the places where you likely have incompletion, or they have incompletion. Um, and the opportunity here, again, as a leader, I'm going to keep hitting on this point, is really standing for clarity in your relationships. So the idea here is that we really get to the source. Again, I use the line "get to the heart" before, but really we stand for clarity in our relationships. So if you are confused, if there's vagueness in the connection, if you've asked for something and you haven't gotten a response back, or the response you got back is vague, being the leader and standing for clarity. So a great example that I can give of this, I have a past coaching client who, every year I will invite coaching clients to have a conversation with me to create the next year. It's something that I really like to do with my clients that I've worked with in the past, just to be in connection with them, see what they're up to. So one of my past clients I reached out to at the end of December, and I sent him the wrong link. So I sent him a link to uh, a paid coaching conversation, and I actually meant to send him a link just to a free coaching conversation. And um, it was funny because he responded back and was like, "Hey, I really want to be in connection with you, but I don't want to pay for your time. At this point, like, I just want to be in connection with you." And I couldn't figure it out. I was like, "What? Like, what does he mean?" And I realized eventually that I sent him, a payment link for this conversation. And I was like, "Oh, okay, it makes sense." So again, I messaged him back and just said, "Hey, I apologize. Like, this is actually what my intentions were. I actually do want to be in connection with you." And the cool thing was is that we both got right to the source of where our confusion was. And this is the opportunity that I see for people everywhere, is that if you notice that there's incompletion in your relationships, to start to look at the ways that you can create clarity, to start to look at the ways that you can take that forward step in your connections and your conversations, so that you both can be on the same playing field. You both know where you stand in terms of the relationship. So again, if you notice that, oh, I have a lot of confusion. There's a lot of the times that there's not clarity, or there's a lot of the times where we're kind of beating around the bush, we're sidestepping each other, and there's animosity in the space, and you can feel that. The opportunity there is to really stand for clarity in honesty in that conversation. Next one. the final one for today is really looking at this, from a place of practice. So inevitably, if some of these things are new to you, it's going to take practice. Um, it's going to take something to be able to implement this into your life. But the thing that we're standing for is creating powerful relationships in our life. So here's a huge thing that I find gets missed based on relationship dynamics is because there is a lot of hurt and pain and resentment from the past. We often project into the future that the dynamic is going to be the same. So, you know, let's say there's hurt in your marriage, and you've had this conversation 10 times, and okay, like, conversation 11 needs to happen. The likelihood in your mind is you're like, well, it's not going to go any differently. The dynamic is going to be the same. And really be with the fact that, if again, as a leader, if you are leading into the space that nothing will change, that this experience will be as the experience has always been, there's no opportunity for possibility to be different. You're going to be getting the same dynamics in the space. And I really want you to get this, because this is going to show up everywhere in your life. Um, Whether it's, you've been passed over for a promotion, or you feel like your boss doesn't recognize you, or as I've talked about in these relationship dynamics, or even a great place to look is like, I'm the one that's always wanting to reach out to people and create, um, to get together to do an event, and nobody reaches out to me. Can you be open to the possibility that it can be different in the future? So the example that I like to give here is with my own wife. You know, so again, this is a lived experience. These things that I talk to are not just magical concepts. I look to bring them into my own life. So, let's say with my wife, for example, um, we've had many arguments. We've had issues come up over the years. There's been frustration and hurt and animosity in the space. And if I allow that to sort of create the dynamic of our relationship moving into the future, the likelihood that it's going to change is not likely. So the opportunity here is to really look at, where can things be different? Even if we've had this conversation 10 times, how can I lead this next conversation in such a way that there will be a new opening, a new possibility of something different happening in the space? This is such a integral part of creating powerful relationships. We have to be open to the possibility that relationships can go differently in the future. That even if we've had a boss that's been terrible, can there be a possibility that if there's even a slight shift in how we're approaching that relationship, that things will change? Or with a family member, with an intimate partner, with our kids, it can literally, this change can be created everywhere. And again, we have to be at cause for it. We have to be willing to see the future in a new way. So let me know if you have any questions around this at all, because I covered a lot here in a short period of time. And I'm going to do a recap. So we're about creating powerful relationships in our lives. The first step is really owning your leadership and owning that you have an impact in all of these spaces. If you are not going to lead, who will? That's a real big question to sit with, right? If you're looking for others to lead, yeah, there's potential there, but it sure is a lot easier if you're the one stepping into the leadership, and you're the one kind of creating that awareness and seeing the dynamics playing out in all these areas of life. So stepping into your leadership is integral. Then from there, we start to look at, where are you being responsible for the dynamics versus being a victim, and shifting more into that place of responsibility. What can it look like to just take ownership of these spaces? Or how can you create a space in such a way so others are starting to take responsibility as well for the creation of this powerful relationship? Next place, really getting clear on, what do you want in your relationships and what are you willing to claim? Don't be vague. Don't wish for things to happen, but actually be clear and focus on creating that for yourself. If there's somebody that you want to be friends with, don't take backdoor routes to go create that friendship. Find a way to get into the space with that person. Put it out there. Hey, I want, you seem like a cool person. I want to connect with you. I'd love to go out sometime. And then if you get vagueness back, take that extra step. Hey, it seems like maybe, I'm more interested in connecting than you are, you know, and like, am I right in that? How does that land? The opportunity here is to lead in these spaces. Fourth part, standing for clarity versus incompletion. So noticing in your life where there's incompletion in your relationships and taking the steps and the conversations that are needed to create that clarity. This is huge. It creates much more freedom and authenticity when we know that we can step into practically any space and just be our honest and authentic selves in how we're interacting with others and really getting to the source of where confusion or conflict might be. And then the last part is practice. Practice these skill sets. It's not going to, taking one step is going to allow you to keep building the steps. And be open that even if this hasn't gone well, or, maybe a relationship, or sorry, a conversation went off the rails, maybe you didn't get what you want, maybe you created more conflict in the space or heightened emotions, be open to the opportunity that the future can go differently. This is a huge piece. This is a concept to really bring into your life everywhere, is that regardless of how the past has gone or the present moment, can I actually create a new future? Can I create new relationship? So important. So I'll leave you there with this conversation. I told you it's going to be an impactful one. Let me know if you have any questions around this topic, any curiosities, or just anything that you're like, I don't really agree with that. I'd love to hear it. It would be great to have some conversation around this. And I'll end on this, that again, if this, if what I'm speaking to, if this work is calling to you, check out the Masculine Leader, which is the new group coaching program that I'm creating. This is a powerful program. These things that we're talking about in terms of stepping into leadership, having more authentic conversations, bringing more confidence and clarity to how you're interacting with others, all of that is available in this program. This is work that I've been doing for years. I've been doing it for years with my one-on-one clients, and it's really made a difference in their lives. And I have no doubts that it's going to be the same for this group coaching experience. So if this is something that you're interested in, please let me know in the comments. I will put a link to some videos, and in the future, it'll be up on my website. But for now, get in contact with me about it if you're interested. And yeah, anything else there? No, I think that's it. So yeah, have a great rest of your day. Look forward to chatting with you again, and bye for now.